every time I was aware that I was being self-critical. So it was a lot of becoming aware of what I was saying to myself, becoming aware when I was pushing myself, when my pain levels were too high, right? And then I didn't have the skills yet. So I would literally just pause and say, okay, what would the citizens of Oopsland say to me right now?
Take the time to remind yourself that it all starts inside yourself. Wake up feeling stuck every day, then you gotta realize that it's all in your mindset. Read about the meditation, you go get around to it, you just haven't had the time yet. Yeah, I bet. Best thing that you could invest in is you. Could have the results or could have the excuse. Only one life, so take care of what you choose. And I ain't preaching, I'm just telling you the truth. Wake up.
Hello, and welcome to Bombastik Broadcasting with Kath, Kim, and Sue.
As you know, here at Bombastik Broadcasting, we believe in illuminating the folks who are stoking the fire in their souls, one beautiful podcast at a time. So here we are tonight with our guest, Billie Schaffpelz. Billie is an agile coach and trainer that has become known for her work in conquering imposter syndrome through the invention of, I love this, Oopsland, which is an alternative reality where we have the safety and permission, because we all need that, to become the person we're wanting to be. So many things to talk about, so many questions. Can't wait to know so much more at the end of this podcast than I do right now. Thank you for being here with us, Billie.
I love it. Thanks for having me. This is great.
It's great to have you, Billie. I wanted to start off by asking you, and I don't want to put you on the spot here, but on your website you have a lovely poem that you wrote when you were 15.
Oh, yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about that poem?
Yeah, it's crazy. And let's see if I can recite it from memory from when I was 15, because it comes up quite often from my soul to me. I have seen and felt some things that you may never, just as you have seen and felt some things that I may never. So don't judge me by your life, for I will never be like you, because I am me.
That's amazing.
Absolutely beautiful.
Ooh. And what's even more amazing to me is that my 15-year-old self, or that my high school self, wrote that. And I think it was just, there's so many journal entries from when I was younger that I feel like it was just my soul leaving me breadcrumbs and messages along the way, knowing that we would kind of forget who we are.
Yes.
As we got into the world and as we got into the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, all that. And I can go back to that. And it's like little love notes that she left me of wisdom.
It is just all a process of remembering, right? Who we are.
Yeah.
So how did you get into coaching, Billie?
So I was a trainer forever, and I was really good at training, and it's because I had patience. So I could teach anyone anything. I was a computer trainer right when they were first coming out. And there was a lot of people transitioning, like it wasn't a skill people had in the corporate world. And everyone would marvel at my patience. And I said, as long as people are trying and wanting to learn, I have the patience of a saint. Like I will help anyone through anything. And that just kind of, then as I grew into my career, led to coaching. And then Agile is a framework in the tech world that also needed to be rolled out. It was a different way of working. And so that needed coaching to implement it.
So what does the Agile actually mean?
So Agile is, so it used to take technology people at least 3 years, maybe 5 years. And I started in Ford Motor Company. And so it would take us 5 years to get a car out. We'd plan the new models 5 years in advance or more. And so same in the tech world. But as things sped up, you have to release tech. Apple's the best example, right? They release updates all the time. And even though we're annoyed by it, or we used to be, they've actually trained society to expect updates that quickly. And so Agile is a way to get the software world to be able to do that, to release updates quicker. Get the product to market is the concept.
Okay. So you're bringing that into the coaching world. How does that connect?
Yes, bringing that. And then on the flip side, to the technology world and all those conferences, I've been bringing the coaching concepts and Oopsland and ideas of growth mindset and failing is okay. Like that never exists in the tech world. So it's cool. I get to bring both to each other.
So imposter syndrome is definitely a big one, I think, for a lot of people. Just to remember that everybody started somewhere, right?
Yes, yes.
What are your sort of tips and tricks for
Mm.
people?
Yeah, it's interesting how my view on imposter syndrome has actually changed a lot since like 2016, 2017. And that's because I've changed as well, right? And right now we have a ton of people that have been laid off, especially from the tech world, from the government. And what happens when something like that happens is people do start to question themselves. Like, was it ever real that they said I did a good job? Was it ever real that they said I could be promoted, but they never did? Were they just blowing hot air at me? So you start to question all that when you're just suddenly fired after a 20-year career or something. And that falls under the auspice of imposter syndrome. And it's because the people are thinking that they're fake almost. Well, I guess all of that wasn't true. And it's just this cognitive dissonance. Usually it's high performers. It's always high performers. I shouldn't say usually. It's always high performers. It's also quite often women more than men, but there are definitely some men that struggle with it. And then another linking factor is childhood abuse. So we don't have to go into that a lot, but it is another pattern that, and it's usually because those children were constantly scrambling to please a parent. And so they learned how to adapt, which makes them high performers. But they were never given the reinforcement as a kid that what they were doing was good, that it was enough, right? Like if your parents always saying or causing havoc in your life, you think you're not enough. And that's definitely one of the underlying factors for imposter syndrome.
So complicated. And, I'm glad that you went into all of that because I feel like we've all heard of imposter syndrome. And it's one of those phrases that you think I know what that is. But really to define it is challenging. And even all the examples you just used, I mean, it's a pretty big universe, imposter syndrome, right?
Really? Yeah.
So it's neat that you got onto that. In a nutshell, it's kind of feeling like you're not deserving or like you're not enough.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not deserving of accolades. You dismiss compliments. I'm sure you guys don't do that. You wouldn't dismiss a compliment when someone gives you a compliment, would you?
Never.
And you can get in your own way with that stuff, right? Which is kind of what you're saying with the Oopsland, where like it's an alternative kind of place where you have safety and permission. I love that. Safety and permission to become the person you're wanting to be. So can you tell us more about that? Where did the name come from? Is it like how you make mistakes? You learn through mistakes?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Really?
Yes. Yeah. So it's
Cool.
like when you drop a glass of milk or something, oopsie daisy. Oopsie. It kind of started. So number one, I love simulations for, I mean, obviously I'm a coach, right? So I love simulations and concepts like that for learning and getting us out of our comfort zone. So that's why I created it as another land. I love that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so oops, it's okay to fail. Oops, it's okay to fail. And at the time that I created the simulation, it was for myself because I was such a perfectionist and I was so hard on myself. Self-harm, self-hatred, like driving myself into the ground. Nothing I did was ever enough. And it was all self-inflicted. So the only way I could figure out to get out of it was to create this alternate universe where the people who lived there were okay failing.
Oh.
So I wanted to migrate there. Like I wanted to be an immigrant to Oopsland. I wanted them to teach me how they were able to live because I saw people around me every day in normal life that things didn't bother them like they bothered me. Right? Like some people are just unbothered, unfazed when they fail.
Yeah.
So,
and that's that
great.
growth mindset too, right? Like failing forward.
Yes. Yep. Yep.
So
and
then,
go ahead, Kim.
No, I was going to say then you quit your job in the auto industry and became a coach, huh?
Yes. Yeah. Went into tech. I thought it'd be fun to travel around. And so I was a traveling technology consultant. But yeah, there were a lot of parallels with Agile and with Oopsland. So it was a really natural mix for me because both of them are talking about growth mindset. When you take a technology person or a big company and they have to switch these processes, they're all going to be failing. They are all going to feel like they're failing because they're going to produce less initially. And anytime you're producing less, you're going to feel bad about yourself. But it's just part of the process of becoming better.
I'm sure that's a huge thing with tech for things like the auto industry, because you know, you got to fail a million times right before you make
Right.
that huge
Yeah.
breakthrough, or
Yes.
all the huge changes take a few
Yep.
times to perfect, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And
So that was
yeah,
the
go ahead.
extension on Oopsland is innovation. And that also fit well with Agile. That's another topic with them. But so yeah, once you get good at failing, then that's when you can become really innovative. And you can fail fast and then get to things like the light bulb, put electricity in houses, you know? So
Right.
I love
that's
that fail
amazing.
fast. I love like get good at failing. That
Yeah.
is just
Yeah.
brilliant. I just kind of want to like write that on a mirror or something.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
The faster you fail, the faster you can rework, right?
It's brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That
It's
is
really
great.
all just a learning cycle. So why torture ourselves and make it a 3-year learning cycle? Let's just figure it out. Let's get out of those things quickly. Dump them to the
So who's your typical client, Billy?
usually executives or corporate people or anyone who's been a high performer in any sort of role. So like real estate agents that are really good and sell a lot. But it's usually people that are moving more into the 40s and 50s, some 60s and 70s, but we all kind of hit that midlife where the things we've been doing to be successful work. And all of a sudden, I'm sure you guys have felt this, it just doesn't work anymore. It's weird, right? And so that's kind of the people that are like, I don't know what's broken. It might be me. And so those are some of the clients that I get to work with.
Okay.
That's neat because it's really just a transition, right? And so easy. So you're kind of helping people in all of those stages figure out what's next and is what's hanging them up from developing into the next growth stage for them, whether it's business or
Yeah.
personal.
Yeah, that's a great way to describe it. And I also like have a passion for people. People are brilliant no matter what age they are and what stage of life. Like I actually think some of the most intelligent people in the world have probably been hit with dementia and Alzheimer's. And so if you think of our care units, if you think of the nursing homes, those people are a gold mine, right? Like they're not failing just because their body is different. But at a certain age, we just stop asking them questions. We stop getting them to contribute all of their knowledge. And Oopsland is a way to redirect people to say, yeah, you know what? There's this whole group of people over here, a whole society that loves you no matter what age you are, as long as you come and you want to grow and you want to innovate and you want to try and experiment. And you're not critical and you're not a perfectionist, which happens a lot as we age. We move away from those things. Yeah, there's so much brilliance in the world and there's so many world problems that I think could be solved. And like one of the other taglines for Oopsland is that I feel like imposter syndrome is stealing our authentic voice.
Mm.
So people are the most creative. They're the most innovative when they're in flow, when they're authentically moving in something. And imposter syndrome shuts us up. And that's not in Oopsland, but most of the people that want to immigrate to Oopsland are coming out of what I've named Perfection Isle. Perfection Island.
Okay.
I can't wait to see the children's book. Have you created a children's book yet?
Some ideas, but yeah, I really need to sit down and make it into a book.
Yeah,
That
the
is a
kind
good idea,
of
for
children's
sure.
book that's for all ages, though. You know,
Yes, yes.
oh, you're halfway there. I can tell already. That's fantastic.
Yeah, I love it. I've done a lot of workshops and webinars where Like if I'm in person, I'll have people leave the room and come back in, and then they're getting their passport stamped and they're getting welcomed.
Nice. Nice.
Gorgeous.
It's a
And
whole
they
new
have to leave
world.
their baggage behind. And
Love it.
That's a great experiment, because sometimes you really do need that physical manifestation of it, you know, to
Right.
kind of to believe it. That's really brilliant, Billy. That's really
Yeah.
cool. And it's so
Thank-
playful and fun, really,
Yeah.
because maybe we're all kind of in that place where we're trying to think of when we've done that to ourselves, right? And it's when you can't be busy getting on with who you want to become or what you want to do when you're so worried about who you are or what you did wrong.
Mhm.
So what about like long-term perfectionists, right? How long or how quick can it take to make that immigration, you know,
Right.
to Oopsland?
Well, so I am actually a dual citizen in Australia. So I had to study for the test and the citizenship and everything, right? And then I had to live there for 6 years. So that, that's a boundary of like, okay, it's going to take you 6 years to become a citizen of the other country. And so, Oopsland, right? Isn't that fun?
Yeah.
Is that where you guys are from?
No,
South
South
Africa.
Africa. Somewhere down
that's
there.
right. I worked
Somewhere
in
down
South
there.
Africa as well. I lived in South Africa with Ford, so I recognize the accent. Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
What
Yeah.
part?
Pretoria, up north
Wow.
of Joburg.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, there's
What
a
were
big.
you doing in Pretoria?
Yeah, I was there with Ford Motor Company implementing a new system technology.
What year was that?
Early 2000s, I think 2002.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you make it to Kruger National Park?
I did. I spent my I treated myself to a safari, so to speak, or a tour for my 30th birthday. So I got to spend that in the park. It was
Lovely.
amazing. Yeah.
Great
So
idea.
many good memories.
Definitely.
But yeah, so back to the idea of that immigration, right? Like, so 6 years to get into Australia, et cetera. For Oopsland, it's going to be dependent on the person and how much they're willing to practice it. So I was coming out of rehab when I needed to move into this new way of working, because it was kind of perfectionism that sent me into rehab. Like
Yeah.
I was using drugs and painkillers to survive and to be the perfect employee, stuff like that. And,
Wow.
right? Yeah, that was 20 years ago now. So yeah,
Wow.
that was
I was actually just going to ask you, was there a big bang for you?
Oh, yeah, that would be it. Yes.
So I guess that was it, huh? Okay.
Very wise, very wise. You saw that. Yeah.
One day you were just like, okay, I don't think this is working too well.
Exactly. Yeah, I was desperate. Yeah. Being addicted to painkillers had taken me down a road that I hated. But when I went to rehab, like they were just really honest with all of us. And it was the early 2000s when nobody understood Oxy or anything else. It was just new on the market. But the nurses in that pain clinic were amazing. And they taught us, they didn't mince words. They were like, you're going to have to live the rest of your life in pain. There's no way around it. Once you're in pain, once those nerve endings are uncapped, you will always be in pain. You will always feel things more than other people. So you need to figure this out. Like they didn't mince words. They're like, either you're going to go back to being an addict or you're going to figure this out. So yeah.
Well done. You obviously figured it out.
Yeah.
I want to hear more about that. So like, are you in pain all the time? Because you sound pretty darn good. Like, how did you figure that out?
Yeah, I am in pain all the time. It turns out I have a genetic disorder. Yeah, that gets worse and worse with age. And so it has its ups and downs. Like, I love people so much that whenever I'm like talking to people, of course, I seem wonderful because I just really enjoy talking to people. But yeah, there's a lot of downtimes where I'm just managing the pain levels or managing the physical aspect of it. And that's where a lot of the self-acceptance has come in over the years, because I mean, my body just can't operate like it used to. And a lot of times I don't operate the way other people do. So like today, I need to like clean and wax a floor, but I have to do it in smaller chunks, and I might need to do it over 2 days, maybe 3 days, depending on the pain, but I'll still get it done. So that's kind of what they taught us in rehab is you'll still get to the goal. You're just going to do it different.
That's
Wow.
awesome. Yeah, because
Uh,
that's I feel like that's such a beautiful thing to learn because you don't ever see like how much practice it takes for that Olympian, and how many times they fall before they win. Yeah. So do you do some of that teaching that you learned through your different experiences? Is that part of the training and the imposter syndrome kind of coaching through? Do you teach them how to have more grace with
yes.
themselves?
Yeah.
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 Like do it at your
Yeah.
own pace because there's no wrong way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's no wrong way. Just because you look different than other people or you're doing something different, you've got to figure out what approach is going to work for you long term. And so that's like back to part of like how long it takes. I would practice the oops. I have several different things I would say to myself, and I would try to put myself in the simulation every time I was aware that I was being self-critical. So it was a lot of becoming aware of what I was saying to myself, becoming aware when I was pushing myself, when my pain levels were too high, right? And then I didn't have the skills yet. So I would literally just pause and say, okay, what would the citizens of Oopsland say to me right now? And I just have to wait, right? And kind of see like, okay, they believe it's okay to fail, so they wouldn't be upset with me. They would actually think I made progress because I've never tried to do kickboxing before. So they'd be proud of me for trying something new.
Nice.
They would be okay that I missed the train and tell me that it was probably for a reason. So little things like that. I just kind of had to make it up as I went, but really try to believe in them, believe there was a world, that it was okay to fail and that they could teach me.
Did you learn to look at your negative self-talk in rehab?
Yeah, a little bit. Yep. Yep. They taught us a lot of like physical things. Like a nurse would follow me around, and every time I would start limping again, she would say, "Stop, reset, stop, reset." Like,
Oh, wow.
it was so annoying. Every 2 seconds, stop, reset.
No.
It got in your
Well,
head.
listen,
Huh? It worked.
20
Yeah.
years later, it's still in my head. So,
Do you mind if I ask what your genetic thing is called?
yeah, it's EDS is the acronym, and it's Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. Yeah, and so it falls under a bigger umbrella of there's like 3 or 4, maybe 5 that are collagen disorders. So hyperflexibility, there's Marfan syndrome, which is a little bit worse than what we have. But the gist of it is our bodies don't make collagen, or like sometimes we're completely missing the genetic marker. It's not just broken, we just don't have it. And then for some genetic issues, it's more just mutated and it's there. And that just goes towards the fixing of things, right? Like if it's slightly broken, you have more hope to fix it. But if it's just not even there, like, what do you do then,
Yeah.
Oops, we forgot that one. See, it's very useful.
Totally, I'm sure.
Right. But yeah, it just, the reason it gets worse with age is, and each person is wildly affected differently because it depends on how you were born and how your parents' DNA came together and stuff. But mine is basically showing up in the joints. So the joints are 20 years older than my actual age. And they have been for a while. And so then I walk like I'm 80 sometimes. And then people will look at me and be like, let's walk to the grocery store. And I'll be like, I'm not going to make it back. So they would just say, well, exercise more, just do this. And I'm like, it's a little different than that, but thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
because it presents itself so differently for everyone. That's part of, you've really had to learn how to listen to your authentic voice then. It's really helped shape your journey.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's, I guess, a good silver lining, like a great outcome out of it is without it, I wouldn't have ever had to ask myself these questions because I was always a high performer. Like before, I did a common story is somebody has an accident or a surgery that triggers it. And that's what mine was. So in 2005, I had a surgery. Well, I fell on my wrist and it completely collapsed, which is not normal, but it's because there was no collagen. So they had to rebuild the wrist. And because of that surgery, though, that's what triggered the pain and some other things. And then I kind of joke that, I'm glad I learned all of this 20 years ago or over the last 20 years, because now I'm prepped for old age because I kind of know how to manage my pain. Like I know what my body, and all my friends are just starting to go, oh my God, my back hurts. They're like, oh my God, I can't walk upstairs anymore. And I'm like, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
I've already aged, so I've got it.
What a story. I was not expecting that part. That's so interesting too, Billie, because there's so many diseases that we don't know about. It's just kind of, it's eye-opening, and to hear the spirit in your voice is really a testament to you. So thank you for going through all that and continuing to and creating these neat outlooks. Just being around you, I feel like it is contagious. So hopefully our listeners will start accepting that mindset. It seems like a much gentler place than the harsh reality we create for ourselves some days.
Right? Mm-hmm. It can be really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's dance parties and everything.
Sign me up.
It brings us back full circle to your 15-year-old poem, doesn't it?
It does, right? Yeah. And that's part of the wisdom. Isn't that amazing that she knew I would have to be really solid in who I am. I am me. And yes. I'm going to have to act different. I will look different than you. Like, yeah, it still amazes me when I think about that poem and just that gift. Yes. There's, so many things.
And Billie, and I don't know if we've already discussed this perhaps, but you also said you're a coach of human systems. So what exactly does that mean?
Yeah, right. That's it's a weird phrase, but I haven't figured out another term that covers it. And so that's more like it's not even group coaching. It's the fact that as humans, we're usually on teams. A marriage is a human system. A family is a human system. And then in the corporate world, that's where I got to learn a ton of patterns because I would come into these corporations and yes, I'm implementing technology and processes, but the humans and how they reacted to each other and where they would block each other for their own benefits is like the system and the flow and kind of understanding like humans really do run these companies. Like I know we think AI and technology is going to take it over, but it won't. Like the human brain and the human personality really does excel when you can get them into flow, and flow with each other is even more beautiful. But yeah, that's the human system, is how all the humans in a group are interacting with each other for the good or the bad.
I've always kind of dreamed about being a writer on like a set of a funny thing, like like yes. South Park or something, and just yes. like everybody feeding off each other yes. and just like being in that sort of a situation. Wouldn't that be amazing?
You should. You should.
I know
see you. Oh my gosh! Why are you not doing that? Actually, Kim,
I need to hook it
I'm
up.
hearing it. I can totally see it.
Maybe we should make an Oopsland one. You can be the writer for the Oopsland one.
There you go. There we go. We're doing our mini version here. Not quite South Park, but it's kind of fun to run off each other's thoughts and ideas, as you go along.
Yeah, that. Those South Park writers' rooms were amazing.
Oh my God. It must just be like dying laughing, even like Friends,
Yeah,
or any of those ones.
Saturday Night Live. I oh my gosh! I mean, they just that energy that they create.
Yes.
Oh man, your job is to have fun and be funny. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it was probably growing up with stuff like that I was like, what if there was a world like that? Like
yeah.
Yeah.
I
What if I
know.
really could get paid to just have fun and laugh and be funny?
I know. Isn't that amazing? Then you probably don't even have to go into work being all fired up because you just walk into this fired up room.
Yes, yes.
You just
Yeah,
step in.
You step into Oopsland,
I,
and probably the biggest mistakes are the biggest, the most celebrations, because they'd be like, oh, well, not that, but what about this,
So much material comes from the weird things. Right?
Yes.
Yes, and there's like a scoreboard, and you're getting scored for your failures rather than your. That was a 10. You really biffed it.
So long. Oh, I'm going to bring that back.
Wait, let's have Ross turn around one more time in the tanning booth.
Oh my God. Oh. Wow, that is so in the thought process too of becoming the person you want to be. Is that a destination or is it an ongoing thing in your opinion?
So I guess it depends on that growth mindset, right?
Right.
Like for me, I feel like it's ongoing. I don't have a goal. I have no idea what I'm going to become. I don't know what I want to be when I grow up. Like we may be writing our own South Park tomorrow.
There we go. Let's go.
Right. But I think what changed for me is that my destination became more about what my daily life was like. It became more about quality of living. Mm-hmm. And it became more about figuring out what my dreams were. Like in rehab, like another thing that sticks with me that was just fascinating. She was right. Again, these nurses were hard for our own benefit. And one of the exercises was we had to tell, the nurse would be like, okay, tell us your dreams. Like, what are some goals, life dreams? And I was like, I want to write a book and I want to climb Mount Washington in the States. I mean, those didn't seem that hard to me, but she laughed. Like she laughed out loud. She's like, whatever, you need to pick some new dreams.
Oh my God.
That did seem kind of doable.
Yeah.
It's not like I want to ride a unicorn.
I'm Kilimanjaro or Everest.
Point was, and it was a very valid point, was that, well, if you want to do goals that big, then you're going to have to really kind of get yourself together and and have different pattern, figure out your human system pattern, figure out what you want your quality of life to be, like I could probably train for it in a day if I wanted to kill myself, but maybe I should plan on a couple months or more. So
yeah, baby steps to get to the big mountain.
Yep. Yeah. Another interesting thing on that point, like if anybody listening does deal with pain or anything, even like mental illness, I shouldn't say mental illness, mental health, because we're all mentally ill, So,
right?
Mental health. You'll have good days and bad days. And one of the things they taught me is called the boom bust cycle. And it means that if you have like a horizontal line that is just your normal line, that's, I don't know, average or something, you'll have good days, which will go above. Your energy will be great. You'll get to do a lot. But because you do more and you're not in pain, then you're probably going to crash after that. And then that's called the bust cycle. And initially the lines will be super small, but as time goes on, if you continue to do that, you start to boom higher, but then the fall is greater. So you bust lower and boom and bust. And they just really tried to help us realize that's not a good lifestyle.
Yeah,
so even
not
if I
sustainable.
Feel good, it's not sustainable. So even if I feel good one day, I have to still taper myself back and remember that I'm not doing boom bust. This isn't performative. I don't have to be the best. I can just enjoy having a good day. It's okay. I don't have to clean the whole house. Which I kind of do sometimes. I'm like, okay, go. I have 5 minutes. 5 minutes.
Let's go.
No, I don't have to do that anymore. It's that permission slip.
Are you still dreaming about Mount Washington?
Well, so since COVID, I mean, that's a whole nother story, right? Cancer, COVID, all that. My legs are not working great. So, yes, I think I would like to get back to hiking. but that's going to be a longer ramp up. And it's hard for me to accept that, but hey, whatever, I'll start over. Like, it'll come back. So yeah. So
Did you grow up in North Carolina?
No, I grew up on a farm in Iowa. A pig, right?
Yeah.
A pig farm in Iowa.
Pig farm in Iowa.
Yeah. And then right after college, I moved to Georgia, and I was selling carpet. If you know anything about Georgia, Atlanta, in that area. And then they sent me to Detroit as my territory. So I had a sales territory, and that was Detroit. And as an Iowa farm girl, I cried because all I knew at that point in time were the movies that showed Detroit as very bad.
Yeah, that's all I think of. When I think of Detroit, I just think of like Gotham City or something. Was it like that?
8 Mile.
No,
yeah, 8 Mile. Right.
It has aspects over the years that were, I'm sure. But no, it was great because I stayed there for 20 years, right? So I did make some amazing friends and had an amazing life there. Yeah.
Nice.
Lovely. And then, Billie, what about your dream of writing a book?
I'm getting closer. It might be about Oopsland, right? So
right. Well, I mean, you started off as a pig farmer's daughter. That's, you know what I mean? It could just be the life story too.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I have had a very weird and fascinating life. I call it unconventional. Very unconventional.
Sure.
I definitely followed my own path.
Love that.
Yeah. So yeah, hopefully there'll be a book soon, or maybe more. Who knows? Yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah. So as far as your website, are you just doing sort of one-on-one coaching right now, or do you have other things happening?
So right now, one-on-one coaching, and then I'm just about ready to put out a couple more offers for I have a heart right now for the people that have been laid off, and right, they weren't honored. Yeah, they weren't honored. They were so like normally if you retire from a job and you've been there a while, they'll have a goodbye party. People will say how much you helped them. But there's thousands of people that invested decades and they were just let go without any recognition, any of that. So it's just kind of heavy on my heart to almost see them, for them to be seen and have someone kind of witness their careers, highs and lows, and what they enjoyed and what they contributed. So that would lead into then, like, that's a clearing of that emotion so that then they can move into and out of imposter syndrome, but move into their future and try to figure that out. Because I feel like that's keeping a lot of people stuck right now. Just, not having anyone to witness or respect what their accomplishments were. Because I mean, even if it's just a random job, you're still putting in so much of yourself to it. You're there, you're with your coworkers.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost the same as, you put as much time into work as you do to your family, just about,
Right? Yes, exactly. Crazy. Yes. Yeah. And then I'd like to start running some of the imposter syndrome workshops or the Oopsland workshops, maybe virtually, maybe in person, but like that would need to be in the Charleston area or something. Like there's so much fun in person because of the costumes and the hats and everything. Like it's really fun. I need to bring those back online and start doing that.
That sounds awesome.
What a party. Yeah. That's really cool that you brought awareness to that, the people that were laid off. I did not even think about that aspect of it, Billie. So yeah, really, really nice for you to say that out loud for them. Yeah.
No, absolutely. That is a huge thing for sure.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. Yes, and Billie, here at Bombastic Broadcasting, we like to say that a rising tide lifts all boats. So what's your book about? And what else can we do to support you?
Oh, you're so sweet. A little bit will be about Oopsland. And so kind of the Oopsland one is a young adult sort of book. And it's going to be where Perfect Island has sent all of their failures to Oopsland, right? And they've just forgotten about them. But then,
and that's where they were at South Park. No.
yeah. Yes. I'm going to add in some TV shows. That's good.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah. I was just going to have the people of Oopsland save the perfect aisle people from some tragedy, right? Because they've been innovating all these years. And so they have all these great gadgets that the perfect aisle people couldn't ever create because they won't get out of their, little boxes.
No problems, no solutions, right? You
Right.
get really, there's they're really, that's where the innovation comes from, huh? All right.
Isn't that crazy?
But go ahead.
Right?
Yeah, no, it's great. Yeah. I'm picturing like your book and your show and your movie and your board game and all of those things.
Another interesting thing about the name is I stopped referring to it as Oopsland for about 5 years because people had such a negative reaction because people don't want to think they're failures. So I'd be like, do you want to immigrate to Oopsland? And they're like, no, that means I have to fail? I don't fail. And I'm like, oh, okay. So
you had to do a whole mindset reboot.
But they live in Denial, right? Is that another place next to Oopsland? Like on the way to Oopsland is Denial?
Queen of Denial.
Yeah. No, that's why I'm excited to see what the people in Oopsland come up with in your book. That's going to be good. Yeah. They're going to come up with something magnificent.
So good talking to you guys. You're so great. I love
it. It's been amazing.
We really enjoyed getting to know you too. I'm sure you've lit a lot of people up to seeing how much more fun it can be to fail.
So Billie, can you tell us what your website and social media handles are?
Yes, I'd love to. So you can see my name on the screen if people are watching. And so the website is first name, last name. So the website's BillieSchaffpelz.com. So BillieSchaffpelz.com. And you can get all kinds of information on there and my email and everything. And then on Instagram, my handle is @TheBillieExperience. @TheBillieExperience. And so that's my overall branding. And it's because I experience the world in a lot of crazy ways and people experience me in a lot of crazy ways.
If anybody wants a fabulous experience.
There you go. Well, it's been great having you on our show today, Billie.
Thank you.
And that's it from Bombastik Broadcasting. Be focused on your dreams and quality of life. Believe you are not an imposter and become a citizen of Oopsland.
Wake up. Wake up. Wake up. Wake up. So much more in this world that you can do. Wake up. Every little thing in this life that you're going through don't mean a thing. Wake up. You keep shining. You keep grinding. Wake up. All is aligning. All you gotta do. Wake up. My man Mo said that the reason that the world fucked up is cause everybody lazy. Positivity is corny to them, but they still gon' complain about the bad going on. Shit crazy. So I just had to drop a little project. I don't know what the object is, but this feels good. If you too hood for the good vibes, sorry I ain't got nothing for you, why should I?
You shouldn't. We out here doing the things that y'all wouldn't. Life could be a sweet ride, proof is in the pudding. These guys with the weak vibes, I'll show them where to put it. Down bad, I was looking for the answer. Mind all mad, taking over like a cancer. Canceled the sub plans, came from up above. Told me everything but doing, showing love, and I gotta
wake up. So much more in this world that you can do. Wake up. Every little thing in this life that you're going through don't mean a thing. Wake up. You keep shining. You keep grinding. Wake up. All is aligning. All you gotta do. Wake up.
I've been getting so high, head up in the clouds. I don't ever wanna calm down, but I gotta
wake up.
Ain't enough time to be down. Bust a smile, cause it's yet another day that I'm allowed to
wake up.
Feeling blessed to be alive, man. Not long till we thriving. Take the time to remind yourself that it all starts inside yourself. Most.
Wake up feeling stuck every day, then you gotta realize that it's all in your mindset. Read about the meditation, you go get around to it, you just haven't had the time yet. Yeah, I bet. Best thing that you could invest in is you. Could have the results or could have the excuse. Only one life, so take care of what you choose. And I ain't preaching, I'm just telling you the truth. Wake up, so much more in this world that you can do. Wake up, every little thing in this life that